Hey, I'm Ryan. Welcome to Board Game Journey, where you will be joining me to play 1,000 games. Now we have a little new series for you. As some of you might know, every week I meet with one of my good friends. We play games, and we're sitting there thinking about, like, man, what is the best two-player game? We started naming some that we played recently, but you know what? I said, no, I want to do this in a more definitive way. So I sat down and I looked at all my games, and I figured out which games are dedicated two-player games, but not just that, which ones also play best at two players. Now, to get that list was obviously more subjective. I went online to BGG, and obviously they have like a recommended player count. So I filtered my games on recommended player count and figured out, okay, not just two-player game only, but also these other four-player games, like, you know, Life of the Amazonia, for instance. People say, oh, it plays best at two. So that game's in here and a load of other ones. So essentially, I got down to a list of 64 games, and we're going to do a bracket, baby. A little bracket time. So making a bracket is a little bit harder than I thought. So I took all 64 games, and then I went online, and this took a while. I looked for everyone's recommended two-player game list. And also that includes people who say, these play well at two. And I kind of gave points to all the different games. And then using that, I came up with a rough ranking, general consensus of, like, say, top tier game to like bottom tier game, just roughly. And then using that, I did a little snake seed into 4 different regions. This way, each region has a nice even spread of, top seed games to maybe more wild card games. So the final result, I'll just put somewhere here, and I'll probably make myself a little bit smaller. And so, like, for instance, today we're looking at Patchwork versus Duel for Cardia. And you also see Toy Battle versus, Rawr. And then you take another region, which is gonna be like Seven Wonders Duel versus Dinosaur Island Rawr and right. That one was a weird trippy. I was actually super curious to see how those two went head to head. And then here's the other 2 regions you can see. Like the first one, we're gonna be looking at Azul versus That's Pretty Clever. I mean, I think I know who's gonna win that one, but you don't know until you actually play it. And then the last one is gonna be Pandemic versus That Time You Killed Me. What a super interesting matchup that one was. So first up is gonna be Duel for Cardia and Patchwork. So before we even get to like conclusion, because there is gonna be a winner, what would you pick? Go in the comments right now, just put your prediction, maybe edit later if you were right or wrong. I'm just curious to see if you guys can figure it out. So there's a little bit of a format. I want to make this pretty fun. So you'll actually see some live content of us playing the game. I'll have a little bit of B-roll, but also I have interviews with my buddy Chris. You can finally meet this guy right here, who's a guy who's been playing all these games with me. And then we'll give you some thoughts, like really raw thoughts. Like we would just play a game, and you can hear what we think about the game in that moment. First up, we're going to discuss Duel for Cardia, but for those who maybe haven't seen the game in detail, let's go ahead and just give you a quick overview of how this game works. So the goal with Duel for Cardia is to get 5 of these signets, and you win the game. Each player gets an identical deck of 16 cards. Cards are shuffled, and then you just draw 5 cards to start. Playing this game is pretty simple. How to win? Not so simple. Each player takes 1 card from their hand of 5, they play it face down in front of them, and when they are revealed at the same time, whoever has the highest number wins a signet. You're thinking, oh, that's pretty simple, right? You just got to have the highest card and you win the game. This is like fancy war? No. A little bit more than that. Whoever loses activates their power. And those powers can do some devious things. Like, for instance, this one says, oh, you won? Oh, no, you didn't, because this counter is now a tie. So now I have this ongoing ability that makes this a permanent tie. And the only way he can maybe break this tie is to maybe remove this little modifier in a later turn. Mediator card that lets me force a tie. Doesn't seem very powerful on the surface, but there's another card that you can use it with. This is called the Judge. It makes all ties wins for you. So this would technically be a win for me if I can play this card and lose with it later on. Or if we have natural ties, which does happen in this game, we both play 7s, for instance, then neither one activates and neither one wins anything. And if I have this card and lose with it later on, I can just get 3 wins right away, or potentially. We'll just play one more quick one. So let's just say we play this one and that one. So I did the Swamp Guard, and so I'm not gonna activate my power, but I would technically get the win. We'll see what happens. So with their card, it's pretty sneaky. They played the Palace Guard. The Palace Guard basically lets them choose a faction and then give me a choice. They say the red faction, which is, the guild faction. So I can either get rid of one of my red cards, or I could say, no, I'm keeping it, and they get to add +7 to the card. So I do happen to have a red one. Now, if I didn't have it, say they named the blue one, I can't do it, so they immediately would just get 7. So they name one out in my hand, then they would just get it. But in this case, I had to choose to get rid of my Palace Guard, which means I could do the same thing to them. Now I can't. So do I want them to win? Do I want them to not? It's a choice you have to make. So if I got rid of it like this, say it's out of the game now, they would add 7, and now I won, but now they won. So this game is very neat. There's a lot of like mind games going on, a lot of back and forth. Just because you win something, it doesn't mean you're gonna, as you can see here, it doesn't mean it's gonna stay your win. And also you can purposely lose a few, and then if they're ties, you can reverse it. There's ways to like get instant wins. For instance, discard the gin, it basically says you win the game. So if I can lose this one, I just win the game automatically. So there's just a lot of interaction, and you technically know exactly what cards each other have. You just don't know the order they're gonna come out. Or if they have a few cards in their hand, you just don't know which ones they potentially have. Can they even beat you? Do you go in low? Do you go in high? Yeah. The more I play this game, the more the mind games start. At first, you're just kind of willy-nilly just playing things because you just don't know what to do. Then the strategy starts to form, and then they see what you did, so now there's a meta, and it's a cool game. This game is like, it feels okay at first, but the more you play, it definitely gets better and better. So let's go back to Past Ryan and Past Chris and see some of their thoughts on Cardia.
Yes, we just played Duel.
That we did.
How'd it go?
Went horribly for me, but it was fun. So that's usually a good sign. If you can really suck at a game and still enjoy it. There was a lot of like timing for it, versus your opponent, and you gotta like figure out when you want to play the right card. Sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't. So
how many times did it not work out for you?
Quite a few. Quite a few.
I mean, how do you see this game evolving? Like, obviously your first 2 plays. What do you think more plays would give this game for you?
I think that ultimately I'd get better at timing and when to play things. I think I'd know the cards inside out, and that would help a lot, because just knowing like what powers I've seen played, what I still have available, what my opponent still has available, all those things would help a lot.
So the game competing against Duel for Cardia is going to be Patchwork. This game I know is beloved by many, but just in case you haven't seen this game or haven't played in a while, just give you a quick reminder on how it works. Patchwork is a magical game because on the surface it seems like a very simple game, but the more you play it, the more you realize how devious this game can be. You need to manage timing, your button currencies, you have to get the efficiencies of the placement of the puzzle pieces on the board. And you also got to do this while, kind of fighting or, playing, I guess, against an opponent who's trying to do the same thing. So I'll give you a feel for a turn. Now, one neat mechanic is how the turn order works. You don't just go back and forth with your opponent. You actually, whoever's furthest behind keeps going. So if I somehow jumped ahead way up here, then my opponent can keep going as long as they're behind me. So maybe they take a turn, they end up here, and until they pass me, then it's my turn. So you can sometimes work it out so that you're maybe taking multiple turns, before your opponent does, which can be advantageous depending on what you're trying to pick up. Well, the goal of the game is to take these pieces and fill out the board the best you can. Now, every single square you leave open is -2 points against you. So being efficient, definitely key. So to choose a piece, I need to start where this pawn is, and I can choose up to 3 pieces from where it is. So, I mean, it's nice to get pieces with a lot of buttons on them, because during the game, every time you get to one of these button checkpoints, you get paid out how many buttons you have on your board. So if I have 8 buttons on my board on different pieces, I would get 8 more buttons of currency back to me. Because currency is everything in this game, in so many different ways. So as how I buy these pieces, for instance, if I was to buy this piece right here, it cost me 1 button, cool. But it also cost me time to quilt it. I guess we're making a little quilt here maybe. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it cost me 5. Now I did pass one of those checkpoints, so I would then count how many buttons on my board on the different pieces. So I only have 1 in this case, and it would pay me back 1. So I technically paid 1 and got it right back. So it's kind of free, in a way. So you can see maybe the potential dilemma here. You need buttons to buy pieces, but you also need buttons to win the game, because the most buttons at the end wins. So how to balance those two is obviously that's the strategy you got to kind of figure out for yourself. So that is the high-level overview of Patchwork. Now let's go check in with Past Ryan and Past Chris and see what they thought about it.
It was fun. It was kind of Tetris-y. You're trying to fill in the right spaces and the right times. There's time pressure, but not like the bricks coming down. It's more you're going along a path and you're running out of time. So you might have great plans to fill in your spaces, but then you run out of time. And also it's competitive, so when you're looking at a piece, someone else might take it. And, that just happens. It's something you have to adapt to in the middle of the game.
So how do you compare Duel for Cardia versus the Patchwork?
Oh, man. This is a tough choice. We had a couple good contenders, I feel. very different games, which makes it hard to, really decide. I think for me, I think Patchwork is a little bit easier to get into. It's a little bit more intuitive, where Cardia, like, it's a great game, but there are a lot of little rules to figure out. And then you work within that, and there are like surprises, and you figure out how to do it. So Cardia, I think, is a little bit more almost like I say competitive, because you're sort of working your cards and your powers that you have against the other person, where this Patchwork almost felt like you're working on your board, and there's some competitiveness to what tiles you get, but you're more mission driven here. I'd give it to Patchwork, but I wouldn't say the Cardia was like, it wasn't far off. It was just a different type of game. I feel like this game, I enjoy the type of game a little bit more.
So dang, Patchwork wins the first battle. Man, it's a tough one. They're both new games. I think Patchwork we just have a deeper history with, so we already know how the game feels. It does still feel great, even though we played it a few times. This was a brand new game, Duel for Cardia, so now that we have played it more, I feel like it's starting to grow on us more. So I don't know if it would ever beat Patchwork, but it definitely would be a stronger contender in the future. Just to remind you guys, I do get some saves. So each of us get 10 saves. So after 64 games, if we feel like, oh man, that game really deserves a second chance, we have another bracket of games, not loser bracket or second chance bracket, whatever you want to call it, where our second chance games will then compete again to see who's the winner of that one. And I think that'd be a fun way to do it as well, because I'm really curious to see, like, after this game gets a few more plays, I definitely think it will shine after we play like 20 more times, because I think it's one of those games where the more you know about it, the more the meta the game gets and the more fun it gets. Next matchup is going to be the Dinosaur Rawr and 7 Wonders Duel. What a different matchup. This is sort of fun for me too, because some of these games I just never would naturally compare. So when you're forced to play them and then think about them like head to head, it's just a fun exercise to do. So first up is 7 Wonders Duel. So let's hop in and try to take a quick high-level look of how this game works. So with 7 Wonders Duel, there's 3 ways to win the game, which is interesting, because they're just focusing on one way. If you ignore the other 2, you might just lose the game earlier than you think. So the first way you win is just playing throughout the entire game, and whoever has the most points wins. So you go through 3 rounds of picking up these cards, adding them to your little tableau here, and at the end, you calculate who has the most points. Boom, there's your winner. The second way is on the military victory. So this little pawn goes up back and forth. If you ever can get it to your opponent's side of the board, then your military takes over and then you win the game immediately. So the last and final way is the scientific victory. So some cards have this green border with a little symbol on the top. If you can get 2 of those symbols, you're allowed to get one of these tokens. But if you can get 6 different sets of these cards, then you immediately win the game as well. We'll just show you a couple cards to give you a feel for the game, because you go through this thing 3 times. So on my turn, I could take any card I want. So maybe I'll just take this one just to make it easy. So then if this will start here and this is my opponent, I would then move 1 forward on the military track, because I get 1 shield. If that happened to be 2 shields or 3 shields, then I would move that many spaces. So my opponent can then take any of these, but let's just say he took this one right here. This one gives them a permanent, wood building resource, because that's going to help you build certain things, or get certain cards. Because some cards have requirements of money or good, like this one requires some kind of stone to get it. Or you can also use it to build these wonders. Each player has 4 different wonders, and each wonder gives you points, plus also sometimes other powers, like destroying cards or getting 2 turns in a row and all these other things like that. But what makes this part so tense is when you uncover a card. Like this card had 2 cards on top of it, but now that's uncovered, it flips over. So it's like, what is it? Because sometimes, especially in like the 2nd or 3rd round, sometimes you're like, man, I hope it's not this, I hope it's not this. Especially if it's like a military thing, it might be like a double shield. You're like, oh, that would really hurt me right now. So you get scared of like, how do I not uncover it? I'll take some other cards first, so that way he has to uncover it. So there's that part of the game is super interesting. So that's it, that's the quick overview. Now I will stress, like, in playing the game, what I like about it is this part right here. You really can see what the person has and what they're going for. Everything's pretty much open information, very abstract in that sense. You can see everything. Just like playing chess, you can see everything, so you know the moves you're going to make. And there's a little bit of mystery, which is kind of fun too. This part, hard to describe in camera, but gets very, very intense, because it's like what each other want and what you can and can't do. And also sometimes the cards you have might influence them. Like stuff I have might make things more expensive for them. So that's something they have to account for, and loads of other things. So there's a lot to think about when you're playing this game. All right, Chris, we just finished up the most epic duel of 7 Wonders Duel. It wasn't 8 Wonders Duel, right?
We did. No, it was not 8 Wonders. I'd say my favorite part was actually building out the locations, and you end up getting like different actions. So you can end up repeating your turn and just creating some variation to the game where, the person you're playing against might be counting on getting a card, but then you jump their turn and you get to either discard it or get it. So there's a lot of that type of stuff in here, and it's just a good game overall.
The contender is the Dinosaur Roll and Write, so let's just take a peek at how this game works. So this is the beefiest roll and write I play. Usually the roll weights I have are ones I just take with me, so they're pretty light and easy, easy breezy. This one, not that. This one really does feel like a real game, and the theme is so much fun. It feels like I'm building a park. You are literally drawing out a park. You're adding in dinosaur exhibits. You're adding attractions, foods, rides, all this sorts of stuff. And you're having specialists to help you, keep your park alive. And I do mean that alive, because catastrophes happen. Dinosaurs break out, things get destroyed, buildings get burned down, and people get eaten. So you gotta be careful with this game. So the game is 2 pads. Each player gets 1 sheet. But you know me, I have a laminator machine, so I went ahead and laminated mine. So they do last quite a while this way. Just a little dry erase marker, you're good to go. Now this game would be impossible to give you a good high-level review. So I'm just gonna give you a gist of things that you would do, just to kind of get the excitement where my excitement is with this game. So typical round, dice will be taken out of the bag. We just need 5 dice. These would be rolled. And now there's a draft phase. If I'm just playing 2 players, I would go, then they would go twice, and I would go again. So I can maybe take this one, they take that one, and whatever's left over, we both get. So that's something to consider as well. Like, if they both leave that one, we'll both get it. So something to think about. And then whatever you draft, you then add to your board. So I drafted myself 2 red DNA, so I would just get 2 more red DNA. And I got one of these more valuable DNAs. I got one of those. Because in this game, you're using DNA to build dinosaurs. So you literally are drawing in this game, which is kind of cool too. I typically don't like drawing in games, but this one, I found it fun because you're kind of building out a park and you want to make a good park experience. So you want all your rides to connect, because as part of the phase, and like basically the 3rd phase of every round, you are running your park. You're going through the different parts of the park, and one part is if you have stuff connected really well, you'll score a lot more points. So long as, and how do you connect them? Well, roads, of course. You need to build roads. You're building roads in this game. Like I said, there's a lot. We'll take it up a little higher level. So that's it. You record your stuff, you record your bonus die, and now you go to like phase 2. Phase 2, this little board here, and this lets you basically take different actions or get more resources, but also lets you build dinosaurs. So for instance, I could go here with this dice, and I can build up to 4 dinosaurs. So since like I said, I'll build one of these small ones here. That's only a 2x2 square. So I could literally come here and build a little 2x2 square, and that's going to be my Brachiosaurus dinosaurs. And then I would use a yellow and a red. Now I can build up to 4 different ones. I won't do that here, but you just keep building out. So after you go through 2 of these phases of drafting dice and placing dice, you're going to run your park. And this is where you can definitely get a lot more stuff on your turn, but also a lot more risk too. Because one thing you got to be careful about in this game is security. And every time you build like dinosaurs, like in this case, some of these dinosaurs, they bring on different risk, and every time you take risk, you're keeping track of the risk. But you also need to contain that risk by having the right security. So even though you take on risk, you try to like balance it out. Because at the end, if you're unbalanced and you don't have enough security to balance the risk, well, someone's getting eaten and you're taking on some bad negative points. So what's out there, this is one of those games where there's a lot of little details. Nothing's hard, it's just a lot of little things. And putting it all together your first time could be a little overwhelming. But once you get into it, it does make a lot of sense. It is one of those games where it's very logical. Like how the things flow together once you get through all the terminology, it does make a lot of sense. So it makes it easy to play. It's just that first round, you just do not know how everything connects. And also, you're running your park and maybe you made different decisions if you knew more. So you just got to kind of go into it, get through the first couple of plays, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this game is pretty darn simple. So let's pass it over to Patch Ryan and Patch Chris, and let's get their thoughts on Dinosaur and Write.
All right, guys, we're here live at the Burrow Cafe, one of our favorite places in town to play games, because they like board game people here. They do not care. All right, Chris, we just played Dinosaur Roar and Write, or is it and right. Is that how you pronounce it?
So you're trying to build dinosaurs. We've all seen Jurassic Park. It's a horrible idea, but for some reason they decided to bring it back again. You know what I really liked about this game is that there's a lot going on. You're trying to build out different dinosaurs, but there are different options. You can pick up different people that you can choose to employ, and that really like gives you cool things. Like for instance, if you have enough lawyers, you can kill people. Dinosaurs can eat people, not a problem for you. It's all taken care of. The legalities are questionable, but we got the people to support it. It's an interesting game that always keeps moving, keeps you interested, and I enjoy playing it.
All right, Chris, that was our first face-off. This was Seven Wonders Duel versus Dinosaur Rawr and right. So, what's your thoughts? How do you compare these two games? So, I mean, it's kind of a tough comparison, but I'm curious to see how you do it. So here you go.
I think I'm going to have to give it to Dinosaur Roar and Right. Like, Seven Wonders was a great game. It was a lot of fun, Seven Wonders Duel. But Roar and Right just had, like, a few more, like, entertaining premises to it that really just pushed it over the edge for me, I think. I'd play both games anytime. You know, I wouldn't be disappointed to play one versus the other. But I think Roar and Right, you know, just has that extra magic for me.
So, Chris, that was a big upset. Seven Wonders falling in the first round. I mean, didn't see it coming. But Roar and Right, it's a very unique game. I totally understand why you feel that way. But the question is, I saved Duel for Cardia last week. Is this game worth a save for you? You get 10 saves. You haven't used any yet. Do you want to use one for this game?
Man, 10 saves. I think it deserves it. I think I'm going to save Seven Wonders Duel. It was a great game. I would never, you know, be disappointed to play it. So, yeah, definitely. I'm going to save it.
So that honestly was a pretty close call. I mean, Dinosaur Roll Right wins it out. I'm not going to lie. Seven Wonders Duel, my first play, I just was underwhelmed by it. But then I just haven't played it like in a year. So playing with Chris, I think I just played so many games since then. My brain just kind of been reprogrammed a little bit. And I definitely saw the beauty of the game now. I still don't think it's my favorite game. It is a tense game. You are very competitive, but I don't know. I still want to try maybe the Lord of the Rings one, just because maybe that just adds something to it. Something about this game still puts me off. I don't know. Maybe it's just artwork or something about it. Like I like it, but I just don't love it. Don't know what it is, but still doesn't really matter because Dinosaur Rolling Right takes the win. It is moving on. I have a feeling it's one of those games where the more you play it, the more it starts to show its beauty. So that's two games. Like that's Duel for Cardia and Seven Wonders Duel that I think with more plays, I'd be so curious to see how they either really like go up in my book or go down. We'll find out. All right, we got the first set of winners. Now, did you guys predict it correctly? Did you guess the right winners? I mean, did you guys agree with them? Like, leave down in the comments down below. What do you guys think? What would you guys choose? You know, have you played all these games? Another question too. I mean, I was surprised. I going into every game with like an unbiased view. I might have like a feeling, oh, this game might do better, but until I play it head to head, I never quite know. Because some of these games, sometimes I haven't played them in a year. So I go back and play it, and I have this one thought, and I'm sometimes surprised where, and later in the series, I know we have another one coming up in the next video where I thought for sure one was going to lose, and sure enough, it won. So you just don't know. You just don't know until you get into it. So I appreciate you guys watching this. You know, please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I love to hear from you guys, and you guys' support really does mean a lot to me. And hope you guys enjoying this series. If you're digging it, you know, let me know your thoughts on. I'm trying something new here in terms of like having some live footage and actual like interviews with the raw emotions, because like it's different when I talk about it now. It might be weeks, months later, just depending on what the filming is. But when you're filming like in the moment, it definitely feels different to talk about the game because it's fresh in your brain. So until the next video, thanks you guys again. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.